big thing going on nationally that will be affecting us right here locally also, the presidential debate. 2024 presidential debate will be happening tonight, Tuesday, September 10th, and that'll be the first debate between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. To break down a little bit more about the effects, the expectations of the debate, and how it will affect us right here in Oakland County and Greater West Bloomfield, join us right here live on The Splash, distinguished professor of political science and director of the Center for Civic Engagement from Oakland University, Professor Dave Dulio. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to kind of get right down to business, keeping things as objective as possible. First question to you, how do you feel like Michigan's key battleground status will affect the campaign strategies of both parties, especially right here in Oakland County?
Well, I think we've seen that on display for frankly months now. And that falls into a couple of different categories. First, the resources that they are spending here, and resources fall into a couple different buckets, money and time, right? So we've seen the Trump campaign and the Harris campaign here with candidate visits, surrogate visits. And we've also seen, if you're watching TV at all, you're seeing a bunch of TV ads from both campaigns and their allies. I think another element of it is messaging, right? And what they're talking about, the issues that they are communicating to voters, and we see that all the time here in Michigan with discussion of electric vehicles, electrification, manufacturing jobs, and other issues like that.
Yeah, no, interesting points. And also kind of getting down directly to their policies with your professional opinion, both of the policies of both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, how do you feel like, in what ways will they have a direct impact on communities like our Greater West Bloomfield area or Oakland County?
Boy, that's a good question, and frankly, it's above my pay grade, right? I mean, that's your viewers' choice to make, right? Your viewers are going to assess those policy alternatives that are being put forward. They are going to be the ones they're the ones that have to figure out, who they think is going to be best suited to lead the country and have an impact on their life and have the impact on the lives of everybody in a community.
No, fair response. I appreciate that. Respect that. Joining us once again, live on The Splash, distinguished professor of political science and director of the Center for Civic Engagement, Oakland University. We have Professor Dave Dulio talking about the upcoming presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Now, with this upcoming debate, strict rules are in place, right? Muted microphones when the other person is speaking, no audience, no notes. How do you feel these factors will impact the candidates' ability to convey their message, particularly to swing voters in areas like ours?
Yeah, I think the biggest rule that is going to have an impact tonight is the one with the one about microphones, I should say. In the past, we've seen former President Trump interrupt. And look, Trump is not the only guy to do this, right? Trump is correct. In a long line of candidates who have interrupted their opponent and stepped on their words, right? But I think that the winners in this are going to be the voters, right? And there's going to be less crosstalk. There's going to be less, interruption, which voters hate. They just want to hear from the candidates. And I think that the rules that are in place tonight are going to be a win for folks who are tuning in.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. And ultimately, I think it's just like you said, for our perspective, it's less interruption. We can't really hear everyone's full thoughts. So yes, I think it should have been in place a long time ago, to be quite honest with you. But yes, not to say that any specific candidate in this that it's aimed at. It's just to literally respect both candidates' voice and their opinion as they get their word out. From your perspective, how do you feel like the campaign styles of both candidates are likely to play out in this political state that we have, like a politically diverse state like Michigan?
Well, that's really interesting. I think that we've seen since Vice President Harris has replaced President Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket, We've seen
Mm-hmm.
a different style from her. And we've seen, frankly, an impact on the state of the race that is unquestionable, right? She has injected an enthusiasm that the Democratic base had not seen with Joe Biden as their presidential candidate. I think that to
Right.
some extent that's style, to some extent that's candidate characteristics, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Trump, he's always been somebody who has been able to rev up his base and get them excited, right? So I think that in the last couple of months, it's been about the base, right? And it's been about trying to increase and sustain enthusiasm among those voters. And now in the home stretch here, we're less than 60 days away. You're going to
Correct.
see, I think, a shift toward, and you're seeing this a little bit already in some of the advertisements that are being run, right? But more of an attention to those swing voters, persuadable voters, whatever we might want to call them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely seeing those. But it's part of the game. Unfortunately, that's just where we are. But this is why we try to create platforms like this, just to create the information and give out the facts based on what we know also. And based on both of the candidates, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, based on both of their experiences, how do you overall feel? Well, not even asking that question. How do you feel their running mates? How do you feel like their running mates make overall appeal of their campaign overall, especially right here in Michigan?
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch both Senator Vance and Governor Walz operate, if you will, in the time that they've
Hmm.
been VP nominees. And the one thing we know from political science about this is that there's a lot of hoopla about VP candidates, and they can certainly have an impact, but it's at the margins. Certain
Okay.
instances are the sort of exception that prove that rule. And Sarah Palin as VP choice of John McCain in 2008 is certainly at the top of that list. But this election is going to be decided not by, or I should say, not between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. It's going to be decided between Vice President Harris and former President Trump.
No, no, absolutely. And overall, like we said, we know it's going to come down to their policies and how we feel about them. The running mates are, their running mates, like you said, very marginal when it comes to how effective it is in the decision overall. Now, a lot of information, a lot of things going on, Professor, and we do appreciate your time. Any additional key information we should look out for or listen to in regards to this debate tonight that will ultimately affect us right here in the greater West Bloomfield, Oakland County, Michigan area?
Yeah, I think I would say to voters, see how much, if any, the candidates are paying attention to Michigan. And do they talk about issues that are
Mm,
important to us here? Do they talk about EVs? Do they
good
talk
point.
about Great Lakes? Do they talk about immigration and inflation? Right? Those are in surveys throughout the campaign. We've seen that those are two issues that are at the top of the list for many Michiganders. So I think that keep your ears tuned for Michigan centric answers.
No, 100%. Great point to bring out too. And we appreciate your time and your information again. Distinguished Professor of Political Science and Director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University, Professor Dave Dulio. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good day.